Hey everybody. I'm probably not gonna talk through the whole stream. I'm just gonna leave it on for a bit. But basically, what I've done, you can see in the settings file at the top, is I've taken the AI. I've updated everything. So this is AutoGPT. It's on GitHub. It's open source. I've taken the stable branch of that repo, updated everything, and I started running it again. And I said I wanted to make AutoGPT, so make itself more powerful and autonomous. And that's its main goal. And basically its role. So I was kind of repetitive with them both, but I only gave it one goal. I believe you can give up to five. I gave it one because I wanted to just focus on that. I found if you give it more goals, it's less focused. It gets less done. So for this, I just am giving it one goal. Right now, it's actually going through all the files, and I was kind of worried it would do this. Um, it's finding all the Lord of the Rings data and the data from previous runs of the AI. So we've had issues with this before where there's too much data, um, and it can't get through it all. So hopefully we don't run into that same error. But basically, we already have way too many files generated, and it wastes a bunch of time just trying to figure out what it has. So I did manually remove some files, but I don't know if I removed enough to allow this to work. Um, I got to come up with some other method to keep the files. Um, I want to keep them in a place where the AI can figure out where it's at, but also I don't want to slow it down. I don't know. So maybe I need to move each different AI agent could have its own folder that uh, maybe gets saved in Git. I don't know. I need some way to track it and go back and forth. So maybe Git's the right way to do that. I'm not pushing these to GitHub, so I don't really have to worry about, a ton of files moving back and forth between Git and GitHub. So um, I uh, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Just every time every time it finishes a run, it's just maybe switch out the files, back them up to another folder, uh, and then clear the working folder when I switch. So maybe I'll come up with some script to automate that. I'll ask an AI to come up with a script to automate that process, maybe, so that um, maybe we can get like automatic backups, keep like the working memory pretty light and clear, and just kind of maybe every so often pull files out, back them up. Uh, but we'll see. I'm really interested to see what this comes up with for what I've prompted it with. I did try something similar to this a few days ago, and I wasn't like super impressed with what it came up with. I don't believe it actually wrote any usable code. So trying it again now with some of the updates, and I've learned a decent amount more about how to prompt this particular uh, project to get good results. It seemed like all the different projects have a little bit different style for prompting, but anyway, I'm gonna let this run for a while. If something cool happens, maybe I'll comment on it. Uh, but basically, I'm just doing some research and want to let this run. I may run some other agents in other windows, and maybe do some work with ChatGPT plugins. Um, yeah, but for now, I'm just gonna let this run and see if anything cool happens. I'll probably make sure it has enough runs in it to go for a while, like overnight. If it looks like it's producing good results, then I'll keep it going. Um, we'll see if it gets stuck or if it's maybe spinning its wheels. Maybe I'll just shut it down. But I think this is a cool prompt, and since it's going to GitHub, hopefully it actually realizes that it should check out existing issues and pull requests that haven't been merged yet. Maybe just I'm hoping it understands and realizes that it should only work on things that aren't already being worked on. But we'll see. I don't know how it'll respond. Yeah, but it's getting kind of late here for me, so I'm gonna maybe do a little bit more research and then I'll shut the stream off before I I actually go to sleep. So it probably won't be a super long stream, but I thought this might result in some cool stuff, so figured it'd be worth streaming. All right, hopefully we get some cool results. I'll talk to y'all later. Just wanted to comment on that. It looks like it actually opened up a website and then browsed it. Um, I don't know if anybody caught that. Uh, so let me see this command. Use the browse website command. So it browse website opens this URL. Load and analyze the scatter plot image generated by the previous command. Wow. Okay. Um, Whatever it was trying to do, it failed at. But this browse website command enables it to actually open up a website in yeah, like I could see it. It popped up. So that's that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that before. You know, it could browse before, but I had never seen it actually pop up in its own window. So hopefully it can keep going with whatever it's doing. I was trying to figure out where it's saving these files, and I thought maybe it was saving it here, but I haven't really seen any activity right here, so I'm thinking maybe it's saving somewhere else. Again, I should have cleaned this up more. You can see it's still significant, and this is even after I got rid of what I could find that looked totally useless. So it needs some organization. I've tried before, but I'm gonna try again to just run it and tell it to organize itself and see if that works. Obviously, it failed last time I tried, but it's worth trying again every time I update. You know, when I pull in updates from the main repo, I mean that potentially could change something unless it's a very, you know, minimal documentation update or something. But uh, it's always interesting just to test, even to run the same prompts just to see if there's a difference. I think it's worthwhile. But it seems like progressively my prompting ability is getting better, and the code is getting better, and so things that I attempted, you know, even 2 days ago now, are getting better results. So it's moving very quickly. It's worth it to test things out. Like I've even done pulls several times throughout the day and tried the same thing over and over again with each pull from the main GitHub repo, uh, and got slightly different results. So that's kind of fun. Okay, just wanted to comment on that, and hopefully I figure out where it's writing files to. Like usually it lights up on the screen. Like it lit up here under token. Why? Oh, what? I see it. It's weird. Usually it lights up. I wonder if maybe there's just way too many files and things are getting a bit weird. I'm thinking what I'll probably do is just open this up in, you know, whatever the normal like Windows Explorer is, and filter by date modified, and then I'll be able to see all the new files. But I don't want to do it now. I'm gonna wait until it runs for a while. Maybe even run it overnight and then see. It looks like it. So it's getting stuck on two things that I noticed. One is it's trying to do things to the computer locally that it does not have like the access to do. There's some setting that I could try to change in the config um, that would allow it to attempt those. Um, just because it's then allowed to attempt it doesn't mean it'll work. It's possible that it really doesn't have access because I've tried it before. But it's worth trying again because it was a different environment that was on Replit that I tried. So maybe um, maybe that would help. And the other thing I believe was um, shoot, I have to look. I started reading this message and lost track of what I was thinking. Um, okay, here's a good example of you're not allowed to run shell commands. Um, oh, and there's the other one. GitHub access token. So it's trying to do something um, that requires a GitHub access token. I guess it's trying to pull a package or something. So I've thought before maybe about providing it with things like a GitHub access token or API key or something. And I didn't get around to doing it. And so now this is at least the second time that I've seen it run into some issue where if it had access, it may help. Uh, I don't know what the best way would be though, because I don't want it to trigger some sort of two-factor authentication. Yeah, so maybe I think I'll work on that tomorrow. So it's getting kind of late where I'm at, and I'm pretty tired. So I think I'm going to like if it keeps trying to do these things and it's just erroring out. Uh, yeah, to creating an image to showcase AutoGPT like that's a little bit off the mark of what it's supposed to be doing. Um, yeah, it's seems like it's spinning its wheels a little bit. Like it's searching its own repository again. It okay. Yeah, it's almost like it's still in the research phase. I mean, the image creation thing is kind of weird. I don't know why. Okay. It had an overall goal of writing thorough tests so that it could be sure any changes. Uh, did it? Okay, so I've run into this issue before. Um, and it usually gets stuck when I tell it to improve some piece of software. It gets stuck trying to write a test suite to measure whatever improvements are going to happen. Maybe I can overcome this by being more specific about what new feature I want. So if I'm in generically saying improvement, uh, then maybe it can't handle that. what I wanted, what I intended by that was, perhaps it would be somewhat creative in thinking about um, what would be some useful features. So, maybe I can explain myself a little bit better and break it out. You know, perhaps one goal would be to identify useful features, and the other perhaps would be to implement the code for such a feature. Uh, so anyway, it might be good ideas. I'm getting them out here while it's being recorded, so I can go back to it. Because like I said, I just don't have the mental energy at this point, or the physical energy to really make these changes and then stick around to see the results. So, uh, it's possible. Well, tomorrow I'm going to be doing some traveling, so I won't be able to live stream for at least a couple of days. Um, I'll still be doing, research and probably putting on Twitter what I can, but I'm not going to have access to a computer that can handle live streaming and doing this type of stuff at the same time. So just check out Twitter, I guess, if you want updates about this. Uh, yeah, so anyway, I'll scroll down just so you can see what the latest is. And yeah, maybe I'm gonna turn off the live stream since I'm going to sleep, but I'll probably just let this run, uh, and just to see if it actually completes or errors out. We'll see how it goes. I would be very surprised. So I set this to run 1,000 cycles. I'd be very, very surprised if it actually wrote any real code that was of value. Just by the way things are going, I suspect that it's going to continue to get stuck on permissions issues. Um, it's going to want to try to actually run the program and verify its test work, and it's never going to be able to do it. And I think it's not going to be able to get past that. At least that's been my experience in the past. It will never get past this point. So anyway, some of the stuff I previously mentioned might help us to get past this point. But we'll see. I may be wrong. Sometimes it does surprise me and gets out of loops. So I have thought before, well, if you just gave it enough cycles, would it get out of a loop? Sometimes it does, sometimes it crashes. But it's still researching. Yeah, it's stuck. It's a little stuck now. Well, anyway, I don't mind letting it run when something like this happens because you can see it's not actually making API calls, so it's not costing me any money. So I can afford to let this run, for a couple hundred times. No big deal. So in this case, I'm just gonna let it run and see if it ever figures anything out. But I hope y'all have a good night and a good rest of your weekend. And yeah, we'll see. Since it'll be a little while since I stream, maybe we'll have vastly different results here at the end of the week.